there. Welcome back to another episode of Studio 501c3. I'm your host, Kim Jones, Executive Director of the Nonprofit Village, along with my colleague, Gabrielle Nash, our Director of Programs and Operations.
Our show features nonprofit organizations and charities that provide a public benefit to the community. Organizations that have a 501c3 status are recognized by the IRS as tax exempt because of their charitable programs. An example is our own organization, the Nonprofit Village. We incubate nonprofit organizations to help them grow. We also offer many charities a shared space for working, networking, and hosting programs or events. The Village helps nonprofits build their capacity by providing training and operational support, all within our shared space. We're proud to partner with Montgomery Community Media on this program to let you know about some of the tremendous programs and services provided by nonprofits in the county. MCM is your public resource that provides access to information relevant to our community. Today we'll be talking about Identity Inc., a nonprofit which creates opportunities for Latino youth and their families. Here's a brief video introduction of Identity.
Yo soy Montgomery County.
Yo soy Montgomery County. I am Montgomery County.
I am Montgomery County.
I am Montgomery County.
I am Montgomery County.
Yo soy Montgomery County.
We are at a tipping point. I'm amazed when I walk into a kindergarten classroom and see that almost a third or more of the students are Latino. This is the next generation of our county, and frankly, we cannot afford to leave them behind.
The most powerful voice and support for the Latino community is identity. They understand, as we all need to, that the Latino community, a strong Latino community, is a strong Montgomery County.
Latino youth are the bedrock of Montgomery County's future. Unfortunately, many of the young people that we work with start from way behind. They do not have the support they need at home, and sometimes they don't get the support they need in the community as a whole. So it's important to provide them with additional opportunities so that they not only can catch up, but also maximize the potential that they have.
It is so important for our youth to continue learning once the school day is over.
7 classes a day, and after school I actually like to go to more because I get to go to Identity.
We believe in the young people we serve, and we nurture their future.
Without Identity, I wouldn't be successful in school.
The individuals are given another opportunity to be able to learn certain aspects that are not always taught in school. Leadership, team building. I think that's the aspect that is most important to our community that sometimes is unfortunately lost.
Latino youth drop out or don't graduate high school, and a lot of them don't graduate or even go to college. So Identity just helps you get there.
Identity was a great opportunity for me to adapt to American culture because I didn't feel like I was the only one who was having problems adapting to American culture.
We connect our youth with many services in the county, places where they can receive services for the needs they have.
Now, we want you to meet Diego Uriburu, the Executive Director of Identity Inc. Thank you so much for being with us today, Diego.
A pleasure being with the two of you.
Yeah, and it's an honor because I've known you for so long, so it's great to have you here.
So to get us started, can you just talk about where Identity comes from, how it was founded, why it was started in the first place?
Identity will be, I think, 22 years in September. It was founded to meet a need that was actually not being met. The Latino community had grown quite a bit in the late 90s, but people did not know it existed. It was more of an invisible community. We were doing the work, we were cleaning offices, cleaning schools, but we're not visible until the 2000 census data came about, and suddenly people realized that the Latino community had exploded in Montgomery County. So we started Identity in order to meet the needs of a fast-growing Latino youth and their families. One of the things that characterizes Identity is how data-driven we are. And at that time, we conducted the first ever needs assessment of Latino youth in Montgomery County. So we surveyed around 1,000 young people. We conducted focus groups with the parents. We conducted key informal interviews with providers, and it was the first needs assessment done with Latino youth in Montgomery County, and we shared that data with the school board, with the county council members, and many programs were created then to begin to meet the needs that had existed for quite long but had not been addressed, because if you cannot demonstrate that something is happening, then you don't exist, and therefore services are not developed for you. It was a very new population.
Sure, sure.
We're going to take a break in just a minute, but before we go to break, I want to talk about how the name identity, what it means, identity, and then when we come back from break, we'll talk a little bit more about the program specifically.
Okay, the name identity means many things. For us, I'm a clinical psychologist by training, and I learned while I was studying that one of the definitions of identity is that you're the same person through time and change. And though we are no longer the babies we used to be, something along our histories with all the different changes remains the same. And for identity is the values. And one of the values that identity has is that to serve others is a privilege, and it requires excellence. And that guides our work, doesn't matter what it is.
Wow, okay.
That's great.
So we are going to take a break. We'll take a short break right now, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about some specific programs with Identity Inc. and Diego Uriburu.
You're watching Studio 501c3 on Montgomery Community Media. Please stay with us.
Welcome back to Studio 501c3, your window into Montgomery County's premier nonprofit organizations. I'm Kim Jones, Executive Director of Nonprofit Village, along with our Director of Programs and Operations, Gabrielle Nash.
We're talking to Diego from Identity Inc. So, to jump back in, Identity offers many services, including workforce development, advocacy, gang prevention, and many other things. You also have 3 wellness centers throughout MCPS. Can you talk about some of your biggest programs and how you engage the constituents that you work for?
So we focus on 3 areas: social emotional supports, educational supports, and workforce and employment services. We work with in elementary schools, middle schools, high schools. We have 2 centers for disconnected young people, and we have a full-time employee at the correctional facility that helps with social reinsertion. All of our programs are important, and we connect with our constituents with a very easy formula. I always tell my staff that we are in the business of forging trustful relationships with our clients. We know that for many of them, we are the last safety net. If we're not there for them, they will not access those services. And again, the way we connect with them is we don't assume to know what they need. We use data to really gauge what the needs in the community are, and then we develop programs for whatever age that really responds to those needs. And we are very accountable to our community, because we are very knowledgeable that we get tax dollars in order to serve them. So it's their money that we are entrusted with.
Right.
So it is with a lot of care, with excellence, with not making assumptions that we have answers to their issues, but that they have the answers. And we engage them in every single facet of our work, from they're involved in the design process, they help us evaluate, qualitatively with focus groups, etc. All of our programs have baselines, exits, some have control groups. So engage them with the respect that they deserve.
Sure, sure.
Can I ask, you talk about how the programs are often safety nets. How do the students that you work with find you? How do they know where you are? Sometimes it's right there in a school. It's introduced to them. But if they don't know, how are they finding you?
We are very proud that we have never spent a penny in advertisement. It's word of mouth. People just come to Identity. Whenever we have a program, people just come. They know us. We have tentacles everywhere in the communities, that are predominantly Latino. So people know about our existence, and sometimes through partners.
Okay, good. some of the groups that you partner with in the community?
We partner with more than 50 nonprofits, particularly with our case management department to try to meet the various needs our clients have. But we also partner a lot with MCPS, with the systems that really we serve around 3,500 young people every year, plus their families. MCPS serves tens of thousands. So we partner with them to make sure that they are responding to the needs of our community, and we want to align with them with data, with best practices. The same thing with the police department, or with the rec department, or with Health and Human Services, and with other nonprofits. So this work cannot be done in isolation. One nonprofit cannot do that. Everyone. So
it's a very comprehensive network that you've put together.
Extremely. We work with some of the most vulnerable and the poorest residents of the county, and they need all the support that we can get. That's why these partnerships are so precious to us.
And that's why we're seeing the result of their engagement in the community as they grow up and go on to independence, and making sure that they're all in promoting Montgomery County as a great place to live and work, just like everybody else.
Montgomery County has a tremendous asset in the Latino community, but it needs to be nourished. No, as I said before, sometimes many of our young people and families come from way back, from way behind, and they need a little help in order to flourish and succeed. But when we invest in them, we get a huge return on investment.
So before we wrap up, for people interested in getting more involved with identity, how can people in our community help your work?
Or in many different ways. You can become a tutor, you can help us in our administration, we can help, if you're a business, help us with the workforce development program, mentoring. One of the things that we do ask is that those who get involved need to get involved long term, because many of our young people have suffered a lot emotionally and they're attached to volunteers. So we're a little picky with that area.
Okay. All right. This was very informational for the audience, and hopefully we'll get some involvement from others. That's all the time we have today. We want to thank our guest, Diego Uriburu from Identity, Inc. For more information, visit their website at identity-youth.org.
I'm Gabrielle Nash, Director of Programs and Operations at the Nonprofit Village.
And I'm Kim Jones, Executive Director of the Nonprofit Village. Join us again for the next edition of Studio 501c3 here on Montgomery Community Media.